All right, everyone. Liberals right now are in a fury, actually, because approval polling actually shows Trump well above water, up in the upper 50s with regards to his approval polling at the moment. Biden, he gravitates back and forth between the upper 30s and the lower 40s because he's not effectively president at all and hasn't been for several years because he's completely out to lunch. But there are caveats, so this is going to be a little bit of a political history video more than anything else. Let's look at approval polling throughout time. Presidents typically get a surge in approval when they're elected. It's called the honeymoon period. That's the colloquial term that's used. When they're first elected, in Trump's case for a second non-consecutive term, which is, again, an oddity in U.S. politics, it's only happened once before with Grover Cleveland, typically you get a bounce. So, you're fresh and new, the outgoing administration has pissed away most of its approval, and so you come in and you're more approved of because people have recency bias. Donald Trump will lose most of that approval over time, most of the above water approval. He'll probably end up ending his second term somewhere in the mid to upper 40s, unless he does something particularly spectacular. This is the historical norm. He's coming in roughly at where you would expect him. Of course, there are going to be liberals that will never approve of him. There will be people that will virtually always approve of him, again with a few historical oddities. Keep in mind, the chief executive of the United States, the president, gets the blame for things even when they're not fully responsible for those things having happened. They also get credit sometimes when things go well, even though they had nothing to do with it. Let's look at a few historical examples, shall we? Oh God, I could talk about this for hours. It's actually fascinating to me. I loved political science when I was at UVM. Jimmy Carter, for example. Was Jimmy Carter fundamentally responsible for the oil shocks? No. He didn't necessarily help to alleviate them very well, but he was not centrally responsible for that energy crisis. He got the blame for it, despite the fact that he wasn't centrally responsible. Congress was involved. He didn't work well with them, so I suppose we can lay the blame on him for that. He tended to be a little bit acerbic with members of Congress, including from his own party. If he had any singular failing, that was one of them. But he got the blame for that. You look at the Great Recession. Was George W., and trust me, I am not defending George W. Bush. I would never do that. I'm a millennial. I fucking voted for Obama for a reason. I think that George W. is one of our worst presidents. But did he cause the Great Recession that he got blamed for in the twilight of his presidency in the last couple of months? No, those policies were dreamed up by Ronald Reagan, expanded by Bill Clinton. Herbert Walker doesn't matter because he was just a placeholder. And then they blew up in the face of the economy. It had nothing to do with George W. Bush's particular policies, other than maybe the inflationary stimulus attempt, which, failed miserably, or the forever wars. Plenty of things that you can lay the blame on him for, but that wouldn't be one of them. That did not cause the economy to implode. Bill Clinton is a great example. Things were generally smooth under Bill Clinton. Yeah, of course, taxes rose marginally and so forth. He basically just continued the policies of his predecessors, and things happened to be going well at the time. He gets called an economic whiz kid. That was the term that they were using at the time for policies that he himself did not invent, did not champion. So you have this throughout time. With Donald Trump, though, you have a little bit of an enigma because, again, this is only the second time in our nation's history where you've had a second non-consecutive term. And it's based partially on the weakness of his opponent, based partially on the economic situation, etc., etc. We're not sure whether it'll get better or worse. My fear is that actually the economy is going to get worse under Trump. Once again, it won't be because Trump has fucked up. It'll be because the people that came before him fucked up. There's a lag in the economy. So I fully expect that his approval will settle down at some point. But he is in that honeymoon period, and the liberals are absolutely outraged at this. It's hilarious to watch. Oh my God, 57% of Americans approve of Hitler? Holy shit. You'd think that the NSDAP won the war. And I'm literally seeing them saying such things actually at this very moment. Go over on Twitter or Blue Sky if you want to see a real liberal cringe, and go to the politics section. Look up anything related to news, Trump, the economy, approval polling, statistics, anything like that, and tell me what you see. People don't understand exactly what's going on politically in society. It's very, very strange. Of course, I speak from a different perspective because I've been doing this for more than a decade, so I have to do this for a living, so it's a little bit different. But there are people out there that think that Donald Trump will catastrophically fail. And then there are people that approve of him despite the fact that he hasn't actually taken office yet. He's not the President of the United States, he's the President-elect. Until January 20th, Biden's running the show. And Biden, by the way, as an aside, is attempting to run things into the ground as much as possible. Imagine that you have a fighter jet, and the pilot is deliberately attempting to scuttle the aircraft, ram it into a mountain or something like that. At some point, you get a different pilot, thankfully, before you hit the mountain. They're going to have to pull up real shear in order to prevent you from hitting that mountain. That's basically the analogy that I would use for the current political situation. Joe Biden is currently trying to extend the war in Ukraine as much as possible, piss away any diplomatic leverage in Korea that he can, and scuttle the economy. And he's doing this out of spite. He's not working with Donald Trump. While I think that he doesn't have any particular love for Harris and is overjoyed at the fact that she lost, I think that he's so vengeful he's also trying to fuck up with the Trump candidacy. I think he's trying to fuck up the next administration. One of the most malevolent cocksuckers that's actually been in that particular office in all of U.S. history, if not the most malicious cocksucker. He appears to be trying to set the stage for an economic collapse and possibly several major wars at the moment. I mean, that's what he's doing with the landmines, the ICBMs and so forth, and certainly his environmental policies. Trump will end them on day one, but the damage will already be done. So I would warn people. I voted for Donald Trump. I'm glad to have voted for Trump. I'm glad that he's going to be our president because hopefully we get a soft landing instead of a hard one. But I do not expect good things on the horizon for at least the next year. I expect things to generally go on the downturn. That's about all. Peace out.